Last week, the Justice Department introduced plans to end their use of private prisons. So this has been something that a lot of people have been wanting to see. So I mean, could we actually see the end of the use of private prisons?
I hope so, because private prisons are connected to how law enforcement kind of over polices and cracks down on people to keep these prisons full. So I hope that we see the end of them.
Yeah. In a memo on Thursday, the Deputy Attorney General, Sally Yates, she said, they simply do not provide the same level of correctional services, programs, and resources. They do not save substantially on costs. And as noted in a recent report by the department's Office of Inspector General, they do not maintain the same level of safety and security.
Oh! I'm so surprised.
Wow! I didn't know that before. Thank you.
I mean,
nobody knew that, right?
I'm like, we all knew they weren't here for that.
Yeah.
They were essentially here to turn a profit. My thing is, even if that wasn't their intent or their stated intent, all those other things that prison or detention centers are supposed to provide as a way to rehabilitate or whatever, safety, all those other things take a back seat because the profit motive.
Exactly.
So,
but it is interesting that this news came out when it did, because just days before there was a report that the CCA, which is the Corrections Corporation of America, had received $1 billion contract from the government, a no-bid $1 billion contract from the federal government. Oh yes, to house detainees, Central American detainees, women, children, rather than them being free and seeking asylum and stuff like that, we're gonna use this private prison to detain them.
These
just days before that,
these two stories too close together.
It's a coincidence. They give the CCA, the largest private prison corporation in America, they give them $1 billion no big contract, and then 3 days later the Justice Department is like, oh, you know what, we really need to ramp down on these on these private prisons, and we're gonna stop using them eventually.
So it's almost like the fact that all the stocks were dropping for these private prison companies, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really matter because they just got a no bid contract.
And it doesn't even matter how many detainees that they keep. They're going to get, I think it's about $20 million a month, no matter what. No matter how many people are in that detention center.
So basically they get a paycheck regardless of how much work they do.
Right. And who's paying for it? The taxpayers. That's who's paying for it.
I mean,
no matter what.
It just seems like a parting gift.
It looks like a severance package.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we think our time is, up with you private prisons. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
here's a little
I think we need to part ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But here's a little something. We'll slide you something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what it seems like. Now, I mean, like, the good thing is that, right after this announcement was made by the Justice Department, that the stocks did drop, which is hilarious. The CCA had their stocks drop 35%. And the GEO Group, another huge private prison corporation, they had their stocks drop 40%. So that's good news. Because it's not like these are nice guys. I mean, these people are in it for the money.
You mean they're not like hardworking Americans? Working class?
Well, they're hardworking, but,
working hard to imprison people.
Yeah, exactly. For the profit. So,
you don't feel bad, dude.
No, I don't feel bad. But like I said, it is interesting that these two news reports came out very close together. I don't think that's an accident. But anyway, it's a good thing, nonetheless, that they are intending to stop using private prisons, but we should know that they're not the only agency that uses private prisons. So there's other agencies as well. There's other states that use private prisons as well. I think, well, actually, the agency that uses the most private prisons is ICE. That's the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So their prisoners their prisoners that are in private prisons, about 70%. 70% of their prisoners are housed in private prisons. And that's way more than anything. I mean, that's way more than any other agency, any other state. There's an article on The Intercept that detailed this. And it said that according to ICE's numbers, more than 70% of its detainees on average are living in privately run facilities where unsafe and abusive conditions have been amply documented. By comparison, the federal prison population in privately run facilities never exceeded 16%, and the state prison population in such facilities is around 6%.
Let's see.
So that's a wide disparity. That's wide. So of course, like I said, that's why a lot of focus is being put on ICE
because
to stop.
Essentially, like, I think that whether it be individual investors or other corporate investors that had their money in the two major private prison companies, what's preventing them from pouring money into ICE, and what's preventing I guess what was the two you mentioned, CCA, and what was the other one?
The GEO group.
What's preventing them from maybe forming some sort of group?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's nothing preventing that.
Right. I don't know. We'll have to see where this goes, because even with that memo that Sally Yates put out, the Deputy Attorney General, even with that, she said she included the language substantially reduced.
So
that's kind of ambiguous.
It's kind of like it's not being very. It's not setting in stone anything.
No. So we don't know exactly when they plan on
ending.
I thought
use. I may have read something. I thought it said like 5 years.
So maybe that's right. Maybe it's longer than that. Maybe it's longer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They might hand out another severance package to somebody.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. There's nothing preventing them from handing out another contract.
Right. Maybe at the end, at the end of these 5 years, if it's 5 years, they'll hand out a big $1 billion contract again and be like, okay, now we're done. Oh, okay. That's great. We'll see what happens.